Hidden beneath the towering peaks of the misty mountains lies the vast and ancient realm of Khazad-dûm, later known as Moria. Once the greatest of the dwarven kingdoms, it was a place of immense wealth, where the dwarves delved deep into the earth for mithril, gems, and treasures untold. But as with many legends of Middle-earth, there is a darker side to Moria's history. Beyond the Balrog, Durin's Bane, and the swarming hordes of orcs that came to infest its halls, there exists something far older, far more terrifying, and yet utterly unknown: the Nameless Things. These creatures, which gnaw at the very roots of the world, are among the most mysterious and unsettling elements in Tolkien's Legendarium. What are they? And why do even the greatest powers of Middle-earth hesitate to name or confront them? The Nameless Things are not just creatures. They represent the unknown horrors of the deep, the unfathomable terrors that exist beyond the understanding of even the wisest and most powerful beings in Tolkien's world. Their presence in The Lord of the Rings is fleeting, mentioned only in passing, but their significance looms large, casting a shadow over the Fellowship's journey through Moria. In today's video, we will explore the implications of these nameless things, their connection to the deep history of Middle-earth, and their unsettling role in the story of Khazad-dûm. Before we can understand the nameless things, we have first to understand the history of Moria and the dwarves. The dwarves of Khazad-dûm were unparalleled in their skill as miners and craftsmen. Under the reign of Durin's line, Moria grew to become the wealthiest kingdom of the dwarves, its halls teeming with activity and wealth beyond imagination. The dwarves discovered mithril, the rarest and most valuable metal in Middle-earth, deep within the mines, and this discovery propelled their civilization to new heights. Yet, as with many tales of great wealth, their prosperity led to their downfall. In their relentless pursuit of treasure, they dug deeper and deeper into the earth, oblivious to the dark forces they were about to awaken. Gimli, a descendant of the dwarves of Moria, reflects on the greed that led to the kingdom's ruin. Too greedily did the dwarves delve, and too deep, and disturbed that from which they fled, Durin's Bane. This passage speaks of the Balrog, the ancient fire demon known as Durin's Bane, whose awakening spelled the end of Khazad-dûm as the greatest dwarven kingdom. The Balrog drove the dwarves from their home, leaving Moria a place of ruin and darkness. The Balrog is one of the most iconic creatures in Tolkien's world, a symbol of the ancient evils that still slumber beneath the world. Yet, as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that the Balrog was not the only horror lurking beneath Moria. The dwarves' delving had brought them perilously close to far older and more dangerous things. Khazad-dûm was abandoned after the Balrog's awakening, its halls left to darkness and ruin. The empty halls, once filled with life and industry, became the domain of creatures of shadow. As the Fellowship of the Ring ventures into Moria on their journey to destroy the One Ring, they are greeted by a place that feels not only empty, but haunted. Frodo, the ring-bearer, begins to feel the weight of the dark presence that lingers in the halls. An evil beyond even the wickedness of the orcs seemed to be slumbering in the stone, waiting for a chance to emerge. Frodo felt as if he was being watched from dark and unseen places. Frodo's unease reflects something older than the orcs, something far more sinister that has lain dormant within the stone for ages. It is as if the very rock and stone of Moria itself are alive with ancient malice, watching and waiting for the right moment to rise again. This evil presence may well be connected to the nameless things that Gandalf would later allude to, creatures older than even the great powers of Middle-earth. The most explicit reference to the nameless things comes from Gandalf himself after his deadly encounter with the Balrog of Moria. Following his fall into the abyss, Gandalf was thrust into the deepest parts of the earth, places no living being had ever ventured before. It was there that he encountered the Nameless Things, and his words offer the only direct insight into their existence. Far, far below the deepest delvings of the dwarves, the world is gnawed by nameless things. Even Sauron knows them not. They are older than he. Now I have walked there, but I will bring no report to darken the light of day. This brief but powerful passage reveals much about the Nameless Things and the fear they inspire. Gandalf, one of the most powerful beings in Middle-earth, who has faced Sauron and fought against the Balrog, speaks of these creatures with a reluctance that underscores their terror. He describes them as gnawing at the foundations of the world, an unsettling image that suggests they are not merely physical beings, but primordial forces beyond comprehension. Even more ominous is Gandalf's assertion that not even Sauron, the Dark Lord, knows of these creatures. They are older than Sauron, older than any of the great evils that the free peoples of Middle-earth fight against. What exactly are these nameless things? Tolkien leaves this question unanswered, but it is clear that they are not mere monsters. They represent the deepest and most ancient horrors of Middle-earth, creatures from a time before recorded history, before the shaping of the world by the Valar. They gnaw at the roots of the earth, undermining the very fabric of creation. Perhaps they are remnants of the chaos that existed before the world was ordered, or perhaps they are entities from beyond Middle-earth itself. Whatever they are, Gandalf's reluctance to speak of them suggests that their very existence is a threat to the light and life of the surface world. Before Gandalf's encounter with the Nameless Things, the Fellowship of the Ring already senses that something far more sinister lurks within the depths of Moria. The oppressive atmosphere of the ancient dwarven kingdom weighs heavily upon them, and several members of the Fellowship begin to feel the presence of an ancient and malevolent force. Gimli, reflecting on the lore of the dwarves, gives the first warning. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. Gimli's words are a dark foreshadowing of the terrors the Fellowship is yet to encounter. While the orcs infest the upper levels of Moria, driven by the malevolent influence of Sauron and the Balrog, there is something deeper still, something fouler, older, and more powerful than any of the known enemies the Fellowship has faced. Gimli's warning suggests that the dwarves themselves were aware of these creatures, though they never fully understood what they had unleashed by digging so deep into the earth. As the Fellowship journeys further into Moria, Legolas, with his heightened elvish sensitivity to the unseen, begins to feel the oppressive weight of these deep powers. His discomfort grows as they move deeper into the dark halls of Khazad-dûm. He confesses his unease. The air is still and heavy. I do not like this place. There is something more here than the evil of Sauron. Legolas's heightened senses allow him to detect the presence of something far older and more terrifying than the orcs or even Sauron's influence. The evil that pervades Moria is ancient and transcendent, more than just the malice of the Dark Lord or his servants. It is a force that has existed since time immemorial, waiting in the darkness beneath the earth. The Fellowship is walking through a land that is not just abandoned, but haunted by forces beyond their comprehension. This ancient force is not just a distant threat, but one the dwarves unwittingly encountered in their deep delvings long before the Fellowship arrived. The greed of the dwarves did not only rouse the Balrog, but also exposed them to the nameless things buried deep beneath the roots of the mountains. The dwarves, in their relentless quest for Mithril, were digging into realms that should never have been disturbed. Gimli, speaking of his people's history, reflects on the consequences of their ambition. "It was not the fault of the dwarves that the friendship waned," said Gimli. "I have heard that it was the elves that began it, waking evil in the mountains. But that is a story of long ago. Our people tell of a time when Moria was free and the dwarves were lords of stone and steel, but we did not know that the evil lay there before we ever came. It was buried deep beneath the stone, gnawing at the roots of the world. The evil that Gimli refers to is older than the dwarves, older than the elves, and perhaps older than the world itself. The dwarves, in their pursuit of riches, inadvertently came into contact with forces that predated their very existence. The Nameless Things may have been lying in wait, undisturbed, until the dwarves dug too deep. In their thirst for wealth and power, the dwarves may have roused more than just Durin's Bane. The idea that these creatures had been lurking beneath the earth long before the dwarves arrived in Moria suggests that they are not native to Middle-earth as we know it. Perhaps they are remnants of a time before the world was shaped, or perhaps they come from a place beyond the knowledge of even the Valar. Whatever their origin, their presence in Moria is a testament to the dangers of delving too deeply into the unknown. Gandalf's battle with the Balrog is a defining moment in The Lord of the Rings, but his journey afterward is equally significant. After defeating the Balrog, Gandalf falls deep into the heart of the earth. The world fades away, and Gandalf, out of time and thought, experiences something far beyond mortal comprehension. He recounts this to Aragorn and the others after his resurrection. "I threw down my enemy, and he fell from the high place and broke the mountainside where he smote it in his ruin. Then darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time, and I wandered far on roads that I will not tell." Gandalf's journey into the abyss was not just a physical descent, but a metaphysical one as well. He ventured into realms beyond the known world, encountering forces older than even the Valar. These roads that he will not describe may have led him into the very lairs of the Nameless Things, those ancient beings that gnaw at the foundations of the earth. His reluctance to speak of them underscores the idea that these creatures are beyond the understanding of even the wisest beings in Middle-earth. As the Fellowship moves through Moria, Aragorn hints at the existence of these dark creatures in a brief yet significant moment. He says, "The world is gnawed by nameless things. They have lived here beyond the memory of even the dwarves." This emphasizes that these beings are ancient beyond reckoning, surviving through the ages in the deep places of the earth. Their namelessness speaks not only to the fact that no one knows what they are, but also that they exist outside the known history of Middle-earth. They are older than elves, dwarves, and even the oldest of the Ainur who descended into Arda. Aragorn, a man steeped in the lore of his people, understands that the true threat within Moria is not just the orcs or the Balrog. It is the ancient evil that has been gnawing at the world since time immemorial. The Nameless Things of Moria remain one of the greatest mysteries in Tolkien's world. Unlike other creatures and forces, they are never named, never described, and never fully revealed. Their existence is hinted at in hushed tones, implying a power beyond even the Balrog, beyond Sauron, and perhaps even beyond Morgoth. Gandalf, the wisest of the Fellowship, refuses to speak of what he encountered, as if the very knowledge of these creatures could bring a darkness to the surface. In a world filled with great powers and grand tales, the Nameless Things of Moria serve as a reminder of the unknown. They represent the mysteries that even the mightiest beings fear to confront, a darkness that lies at the very core of Middle-earth, waiting, perhaps, for the world to delve too deep once more. The Nameless Things of Moria are more than just another monster in Tolkien's mythology. They are an embodiment of the unknown. While much of Middle-earth's history is chronicled and understood by the characters within the story, these creatures defy categorization. They are older than the elves, older than the dwarves, older even than Sauron. They are the darkness that has always existed, lurking beneath the surface of the world. What they are, we may never know, but their presence serves as a chilling reminder that even in a world of gods and monsters, some things are better left unexplored. As Gandalf himself warns, "I will bring no report to darken the light of day." In the end, the nameless things of Moria remind us of the limits of knowledge, of the dangers that lie in the deep places of the earth, and of the unfathomable mysteries that shape the very foundations of Tolkien's world.